Hey everybody, this is Nick Morrell with Audio Video Export. It's a shame that we have to get together under these extenuating circumstances, with a global crisis with COVID-19. But we're going to make the absolute best use of the time, and we're really excited about the fact that we've got on the line with us Patrick of JVC. As you can see, his contact information is there online, but we still want we want you all to know that Audio Video Export is your primary contact point. Although he is always available to us. And we also have with us Bertie Morales of Polaris Controls to do the presentation for Screen Innovations. In addition to that, we've got the two Georges online with us, part of our sales team here with Audio Video Export. And we're really excited to be able to present this webinar series for you. So one of the things that we want to mention, as always, Audio Video Export being your primary point of contact for sourcing some of the best products in the entire world. We love having these two brands side by side, one with another, because obviously a projection doesn't work without, a screen, and vice versa. And almost all of the brands that Audio Video Export carries have that kind of union that they all work really well together. Most all of the brands that we carry, play very well with others, and this is no exception between JVC and SI. There will be a time for Q&A. We're going to start out with JVC, but feel free. There is a question box for you to be able to fill out whatever question is that you've got at any point in time. If the question merits, then we'll answer that during the webinar. If not, then we will go ahead and just answer those individually in the actual question box. There's also a handouts tab in GoToMeeting here, or in GoToWebinar here, that you can download right now, both PDF presentations for JVC and Screen Innovation, so that you can have that. We'll also be following up with emails after the fact with a copy of the recording and said documents. Without any further delay, thank you so much, Patrick and Bertie, for being with us. And Patrick, it's all yours.
Thank you for having us. It is absolutely my pleasure. And I'd like to start off with, right on this front page, that's my email contact. When it comes to people in this industry giving customer support and the ability to be available and for you to be able to reach out and contact someone, I don't think I'm in any better company than I am right now. JVC prides ourselves in the fact that we definitely, the salespeople, everyone in CI, everyone in projection knows exactly what they're doing. I'm the dumbest of that group, but I've got really smart friends. So if there's ever a question that I can't answer for you, I will get a hold of the engineers that I've got in my pocket, and we'll find out the answer. Same thing goes with Nick at AVE. If you guys ever have a question, they're one of the very best distributors to have. They can handle almost anything. Very rarely do they ever need to go to me, but if they do, they can get a hold of me almost anytime, day or night. And that also goes for SI. That company is one of the best. You can go online and look at reviews, look at people's comments about that company, look at the YouTube effort they put in to let you know exactly what kind of products and how to deal with those products. No one is better at what they do than these two other companies, and I'm very, very proud to be part of this whole group. But write down my email number, write down my email, and if you need anything and you can't get a hold of Nick, I'm absolutely 100% here for you. If it's not just a JVC question, if it's a physics problem or a screen issue or something like that, I'll help you out as best I can. I'm in a plane quite a bit, but when I'm not, I always answer the phone, and as soon as I land, I get back on there. So let me jump right in. I really would like to talk a little bit about flat panel versus projection. I mean, that's obviously why you're here, but it's very, very important for you to be able to sell projection, even if a customer might be on the fence, or if he invites you into his house to ask you for quotes about doing flat panel stuff. Projection is the next level. If you don't offer that to your customer, you're not offering them every last little bit of knowledge and insight that you can give them, right? So if you introduce something, even if they're like, oh, no, I'm more interested in flat panel, just at least introduce them to the concept of projection. They're going to think that you're a much more knowledgeable CI, custom installer, and you never know. It may make some opportunities that you normally wouldn't have. Everyone knows that there is definitely more margin and more satisfaction for the customer, but more margin in it for you. You're going to get more margin on a projector than you are a flat panel. Plus, you get all those add-ons. You get the great size screens, and you're definitely going to be doing audio. They're not going to be like, no, that's all right. I'll buy a sound bar from Best Buy for $99. They're not going to do that when you can move them into a projection reality. And the satisfaction of having a big screen is so much better than having just a regular flat panel. It's a very different feeling. SI and the other companies out there are revolutionizing the ability to put these screens into almost any application. This is a great example. An ALR screen is going to be blocking most of the light from the room, obviously, except from the direction that the projector is coming from. But even in a situation like this, SI is really coming out with more efficient ambient light rejecting screens. They're doing battery operated, easy to install motorized screens. They're going to touch on that later. I don't want to drown you in it. But it's really an opportunity for you to put it in almost any home now. And when we're talking about going from flat panel to projection, you're actually doubling the surface area if you go from a relatively small 110-inch to a relatively large 75-inch, right? So from that 75-inch screen, which is becoming super commonplace in people's homes, you go to a 110-inch, which is relatively small when it comes to screens. You're doubling the surface area and therefore getting every last little bit of money that you're spending on all that 4K technology. And speaking about resolution, it's not just pixels, right? And resolution is important. We're definitely not saying that it's not. Resolution is the key in this industry. You want to let them know that you're giving them all 4K, but it's not just the imaging device that's necessary to give you that good resolution. You also need a really nice lens. And JVC is offering an all-glass lens in every DILA projector that they sell. Our competitors aren't doing that. They're not doing that until you get to their much more expensive projectors.
Patrick, what are some of the fundamental differences that you can expect in the quality between a projector if you take the exact same projector and you've got a plastic lens versus a glass lens? What are some of the things that you can expect to be a difference?
Well, quality control is a lot easier on a glass lens than it is on a plastic lens. So you're able to fine tune that lens and polish that lens a whole lot better if it's glass than if it's plastic. Plastic, by its very nature, takes a very, very long time to cure, and some fundamentals could change during the process of that curing. Longevity, too, most plastics will yellow over time. Now, we're talking about a good deal of time, but when we're throwing that amount of heat and that amount of light, and we'll talk about that in a second too, through a plastic lens, you can develop a little bit of yellowing, which is going to, in the end, change your color space. So those are the two biggies for glass and for plastic. JVC also is a master of contrast. Again, look at those reviews. Take a look at what JVC offers. Contrast level is everything when it comes to reality. Your perception changes so much when you have real contrast. JVC does most of its projection money, to be honest with you, in the flight simulation and combat simulator market. The reason why we have these crazy contrast levels is those flight simulators demand that contrast level for our government contracts. That's how the human eye perceives depth. It almost gives you a 3D feel without actually having to have 3D. Contrast is important. JVC is the master of it. No one's got better contrast than us. And when it comes to color space, on the X790, the NX7, the NX9, you're getting 100% of DCI-P3 color gamut and 77% of Rec 20. That's the largest color gamut in the market as well. And when it comes to HDR brightness, you have to have a certain level of lumen output to be able to attain what most people consider HDR color levels. When you're talking about certain other projector companies, for example, like Sony, where the body of their projectors are doing about 1,500 lumens, you're not really going to be able to reach those color levels when you're talking about anything bigger than a 120-inch screen, 130, 140-inch screen. You're going to fall short of being what the industry is considering proper color levels. So I'm going to switch over to the LX series projectors. These are really inexpensive projectors that really pack a wallop. $2,500 projector, 2,000 lumens of brightness, HDR10 compatibility, 100% of Rec 709 color space. But that's not even really what's going to excite you about this projector. What excites you as a CI about this projector is we've got lens shift. Most of our competitors in this same market are not giving you very much lens shift, if anything at all. That's important. Unless you're a master of lining this projector up with the screen and making it perfect every time, lens shift is important. And we have that for the ability for you to install it in almost any room. We also have done an update to this TRP DMD technology. If you know anything about this chipset, it's made by Texas Instruments. If you know anything about the chipset, it has a little bit of an overthrow or a light shadow on it. So if you're doing a zero-edge screen, which are so popular right now, you can sometimes see that overcast. This projector has cut down that by about 30%. Actually, so does the NZ3 that I'm going to talk about in a second, but it cuts down on that overthrow just a little bit. So it's going to be less noticeable than our competitors. And now this is a really popular projector from JVC right now, the LX NZ3. This is a laser projector at a $3,700 price point. So it's got very similar characteristics as the LX UH1, but now we're adding 3,000 lumens of brightness and a laser that's going to give us a 20,000 hour lifespan. Obviously, the technology in that projector is probably going to be dated by the time you're going to need to do anything with changing out the laser, or normally you would consider that a bulb. So a very long life on this projector. It's got the keyword laser in it, which everybody loves. That's going to help you a little bit with contrast as well, but it's going to give you DLP 4K resolution, and it's going to give you a lens shift as well at that price, $3,700. X790. I love talking about this projector because it's been in the lineup since 2017. The reason why we keep making small batches of this projector is because it got so many highly rated reviews, and it's still very poignant in today's market. This is a 1080 projector that does 4K E-shift, but it does it in such a stunning way that it really does match or beat a DLP 4K projector at that same level. It really is a magnificent picture. 65 millimeter all glass lens assembly, 1900 lumens, and 130,000 to 1 native contrast, or if you like dynamic contrast numbers, 1.3 million to 1. So the contrast ratio on this projector is higher than anything that I've shown you so far, and anything that I'm going to show you, even in our native 4K line. This projector really produces a beautiful picture. So if you're talking about a 120-inch screen, 125, maybe 130-inch screen, this is an amazing projector still on the market today. And of course, it has full speed, full spec 18 gigabit per second HDMI inputs, HDR10 compatible with hybrid log gamma. This one is also THX and ISF certified. Just in case if you don't know, THX certifications, about 40 different tests they put the projector through to make sure that it meets all of their requirements, and this projector meets each and every one of them at a price point of $4,000. Now we're going to get into our native 4K lineup. We're going to start off with something that we just introduced last year, just after CEDIA, Frame Adapt HDR. So this is an update that can go into the projectors. If you've already sold one of these projectors and you didn't do the update to give it Frame Adapt, it's an excellent opportunity for you to be able to get in contact with those guys. Call them up again, give them an opportunity to get on JVC side a free update. You might be able to charge them a little bit to do the update, come in and do the update, but it's going to be a noticeable difference in display. It's going to give you a little bit more contrast, and by that, it's going to give you a better appreciation of the color that you're getting for HDR. The problem is Hollywood doesn't have a standard for brightness for 4K and HDR. What this application does, and there's some flat panels that have something similar technology too, but this is the only projector line that has Frame Adapt HDR. It's going to fine tune the FLL and CLL levels per, not scene, not chapter, but per frame of the video. It's analyzing the video content and optimizing its contrast and black levels per individual frame. So it actually makes a huge difference. Again, if you would like to see more on this, I'm not going to go too much more on it, but if you want to go more on this, Chris Deering from, the name of the publication escapes me right now. I am so sorry, but Chris Deering has an article on this, and it's absolutely fantastic, and I encourage you to take a look at that as well. The NX5 is our entry-level projector in native 4K lineup. It is 65 millimeter 4K all-glass lens assembly, 1800 lumens of brightness, and an industry-leading native contrast of 40,000 to 1. Now, I know I just said that the X790 has 130,000 to 1, but I'm talking about a native 4K projector. So when you quadruple your pixels, you do have to deal with some other issues, and that is a reduction in contrast. JVC has done a great job. They have better contrast than anyone else in the lineup of native 4K projectors that's out there on the market right now, and I'm going to touch on that again later. Also, HDR10, hybrid log gamma, auto tone mapping for HDR, full spec, full speed, 18 gigabit per second HDI, and ISF calibration ability at a retail price of $6,000. The NX7 gives you all those same features. It bumps our brightness up to 1900 lumens. It bumps our contrast up to 80,000. It doubles the contrast ratio of the NX5. Also HDR10 and hybrid log gamma compatible, auto tone mapping, and adaptive frame HDR built into this one as well. This price is now at a $9,000 price point, $8,999.95. This, by the way, is our best-selling projector even still. JVC did not expect that. We thought the NX5 was going to take over, but this right now, when it comes to per unit sales, is the highest per unit sales for JVC. Now let's get down to it. The NX7 versus the 385, we're talking about a similar price point. We're talking about similar resolution. But take a look at the lamp source, 265 watt bulb instead of a 225 watt bulb, giving you 1900 lumens of brightness in comparison to 1500 lumens. The contrast ratio is 80,000 to 1. Sony doesn't even tell you what their native contrast ratio is. Their dynamic contrast ratio of 800,000 to 1 in comparison to theirs, 200,000 to 1. Both projectors have dynamic lens aperture control. Our color space gives you 100% of sRGB, so does theirs, but we're going to give you 100% of 709 as well. They have reality creation built in theirs. We have THX built into that projector. The HDMI is 18 gigabits per second and HDR10 on both units. ISF certified. NX7 is not. The 385, or the NX7 is, I apologize, and the 385 is not. We go down to the NX5, you compare that to the Sony 285, or actually now it's a 295. We have a 265 watt bulb, 1800 lumens of brightness compared to their 1500 lumens, 40,000 to 1. They don't even list their dynamic contrast on this projector. Something really important to note, they don't even list their dynamic contrast on that projector. We're also going to talk about JVC's NX9. That's the world's first native 4K 8K E-shift projector. We're using a 100 millimeter all glass lens assembly on this projector with 2200 lumens of brightness. Now I'm going to talk briefly about E-shift. This projector is going to give you E-shift technology. It's going to take a native 4K input or even a 1080 input that you're going to have coming through a cable box. It's going to go into the projector. The projector is going to analyze the frames and give you a subset of pixels to generate that a fraction of a second, and a fraction of a distance later to generate a subset of 8K worth of image. Again, 2200 lumens worth of brightness. Industry-leading native contrast at 100,000 to 1 on this projector. So we're really closely approaching the X790 at 130,000 to 1. HDR10 compatible, full speed, full spec, 18 gigabits per second, and of course THX and ISF certified at a price point of $18,000 or $17,999. Now, when we compare this to the Sony, we're talking about a huge savings, and we're giving you more resolution, if resolution is your key, giving you more contrast, giving you more color. The 8K E-shift projector, now this is upconvert only. It does not accept an 8K input. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that. At an $18,000 price point opposed to a $25,000 price point. We're using a 4K all glass lens on this projector. They're using a plastic and glass hybrid. Light source is 265 watts. Now they are using a laser phosphor, but even using that laser phosphor, we're giving you 200 lumens more brightness to be able to attain those HDR levels we talked about before. We have upgraded picture quality. We have new hybrid log gamma, and that automatically turns on. I don't know if everyone here knows what hybrid log gamma is, but hybrid log gamma is essentially compression that is in use now and will continue to be in use for when you're watching streaming video services, like watching your 4K stuff on Netflix or Amazon Prime. a large portion of what they're doing is hybrid log gamma, and we have that decoding built in, and it automatically switches over. We have auto tone mapping and frame adapt HDR. Auto tone mapping essentially uses the metadata that's built into the HDR10 disks, the static metadata, and adjusts picture tone, darkness, and bright levels. The frame adapt HDR, which we already talked about, takes that one step further and does that analysis based on frame by frame technology. Selectable picture mode for HDR. Obviously, we can switch out of HDR, go to HDL, or if you have content that's not HDR, it'll automatically go into cinema mode, or you can go to natural mode. We've got several different ones for that as well. Connectivity and design, two 18 gigabit per second HDMI inputs, a 3D emitter. I know everyone's still doing so much 3D, and they've got to have it on their projectors. I want you to know that all the DILA projectors still have that if you need it or not. RS-232 USB and RJ45 input. We have a keypad on the back that operates all the functions of the projector. So if you misplace your remote, you're not dead in the water for a couple of days to get a new one. The air intake for the lamp system's on the rear. The air intake for the DILA device is in the center. We have a separate lamp cover now. It's on the side. It's much easier to get at in those tight fitting spaces, like the X790. That one is in the rear. The lamp cover's on the side of the NX series. So it's a little bit easier to get at if you have that ceiling mounted, and it's a little bit closer to the wall than JVC would like. And the intake for the power board's on the left-hand side. Now, we did increase in size in these projectors. So if you're replacing someone's legacy 2017 model or earlier, we had that same footprint for quite a while. This footprint has gotten a little bit larger in the NX series. I do want to specify why. Years past, people had said JVC projectors are very loud. Our chipsets move at twice the speed of most other people's chipsets, so they generate more heat. Therefore, in the past, our fans moved at twice the speed to be able to cool them off. People complained about that. So JVC put a much larger aluminum heatsink in these projectors. The fan speed's much slower. They're much, much quieter, but they're a little bit larger. So if you have a legacy cubby hole or hide box that they're in, you may encounter some problems. Just make sure you get measurements before you move that projector into that new spot, because you may be building a new hide box. Also, the weight is increased just a little bit, but the RPA 281 mount that is common to all of our old projectors for Chief is still common with this newer model. So it'll still fit on there, still work perfectly. I would like to hazard that the RS 4500 will also fit that RPA 281 by Chief. It is not heavy duty mount, and that projector is really, really heavy, and it will eventually warp that. You'll have a dangerous 90-pound, $25,000 projectile in someone's home theater. We don't want that, so please make sure you use the proper mount for that one. And they do make a special mount. Chief does make a special mount for that. And if not, you are a Chief dealer, before I go on too much further, right, Nick?
I'm sorry, say that again?
You are a Chief dealer. Yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah,
are, Patrick. We are a Chief Legrand dealer as well.
That's affirmative. We've got the RPA, the 281 in stock in order to be able to sell alongside the JVC projectors. And that's a special mount that was designed for these JVC projectors, and it works really well. We've had a lot of really great feedback from all of our dealers across the region.
And we do keep them in stock. Whenever we purchase a JVC for stock, we also purchase a mount for stock.
Awesome. We appreciate that, because obviously sometimes even the best of us can forget, right? You can, oh, I got the projector, I've got all my cables. Oh, I forgot to order the mount. It's nice to know that you have them in stock and you can get them out to those customers as well. And I'm sure you remind them when they order those projectors when these customers are overseas as well. I would like to say that the larger size and larger heatsink does make one other difference in this projector. It takes a little bit longer for this thing to heat up and get to operating temperature. Now, that's not going to affect your end user, but it will affect you when you're doing the install. When you do those pixel alignments and you are lining everything up, please allow it a few minutes. And I'm talking about 20 minutes or so with some content playing, preferably HDR content playing, for that heatsink to get up to operating temperature so you can do your pixel alignment and whatever adjustments that you end up wanting to do when you do your screen alignment, all that stuff. Make sure it's at operating temperature when you do that, because those things do fluctuate just a little bit once they get up to operating temperature. Again, not a big deal for a customer. When they first turn on the projector before they start playing media, it might be off just a little teeny bit, but as it warms up, that's going to fix itself. And I've never heard anyone say, hey, I noticed that my projector seems a little teeny bit off when I first fire it up. It just doesn't happen, but I do want to make sure that you are following that protocol when you're doing your alignments. So the NX7, NX9, and NX5 are our native 4K projectors. And again, that NX7 is the most popular one we're selling right now. Shipment started back in October of 2018 at a very slow rate. We are up to speed, and we have plenty in stock and available for you right now, as I am sure AVE does. Resolutions, native 4K, 265 watt bulb, 4K 65 millimeter all glass lens assembly. It's all the specs I already went over with you. This is in the handout, so I do encourage you to download the handout and have it for you just in case. And again, another thing is, if you can't convince your customer on a JVC projector and they don't want to believe you and they don't want to believe me, there are so many reviews out there boasting our accolades. I cannot urge you enough to download a couple of those and just point it out. They don't have to believe you or me. They can believe a third party that's judging these projectors. And there are lots of comparison projectors with Sony out there. I'm sorry, comparison reviews with Sony out there. Download those. Show them to your customers. Let them know exactly what's available out there on the market and what other people think of them. Now, this is our flagship, the RS4500. It does boast a 100 millimeter all glass lens assembly like the NX9. It is a native 4K device. It is a 3000 lumen fluorescent laser phosphor engine. This is going to give you every bit of 3000 lumens onto that screen through that 100 millimeter all glass lens assembly. All of our native 4K projectors have 10 installation modes for presets. So you can have a preset for 16:9 or 235 or 240 or any of the zany ones that Netflix is boosting out right now. You're going to have the ability to do up to 10 of those presets for those customers. This is at a $25,000 price point. And as far as I know, Nick brought this up yesterday in the presentation. As far as I know, we won't be changing this at least through September. Things do change all the time, but as of right now, I don't believe there are even plans to change it after September. I believe this will follow up to the 2021 model year as well. That could change at any moment. You know, we do innovation and development all the time, so that very possibly could change. But as of right now, I know that there are no plans to change it. And that's it. You have my email, and I'm going to stick around. And I hope you stick around for the SI screening or SI screen training. They are fantastic, and it gives you lots and lots of options. But you have my email if you have any questions, and I'll stick around for the end of this as well for the Q&A.
Thanks so much, Patrick. And if anybody's got any questions, feel free to go ahead and while Berti sets up his presentation, you've got control now there, Berti. Please do fill in whatever questions it is that you had. We had actually a pretty spirited conversation yesterday in Spanish. I mean, there were loads of questions with regard to both SI and JVC, and some really great and entertaining ones. Some of them a little bit more silly, and you know, you get all sorts of stuff. So please feel free. Berti, all yours.
Okay, hi guys. My name is Berti Morales. I'm from Polaris Controls. We're the rep company for screen innovations within Latin America and the Caribbean. I'm personally stationed physically in Puerto Rico, full time. And we're gonna give you gonna try to make it brief, go through all the products that SI has to open up all options for you guys on your projects. And just if you feel free to ask any questions, Nick will or Jorge will intervene or will let me know, and I'll answer as we go along. Okay, for those of you who don't know Screen Innovations is a projection screen manufacturer. They're based right here out of the United States in Austin, Texas. The company started back in 2003. It was first introduced as into the residential market, and then a few years ago, it went into the commercial channel as well. Innovation is in its name, and this slide really showcases the continuous innovation in product development over the years, introducing many of the world's first. For example, the world's first projection screen up in the space in the International Space Station. Starting off with our materials today, we do offer a wide range of materials to ensure that you have the right product for the right environment, whether it is for front or rear projection, short throw or long throw. SI knows that not every material is suitable for every application. SI is also really known for its ambient light rejecting materials. They actually offer 3 different types of ambient light rejecting technologies: optical, surface, and lenticular. And we'll cover all 3 of those right now. All are very different, but have the characteristics to provide an exceptional image that's high in contrast. Sorry. Even under high ambient light environment, much of which we deal with in both commercial and residential spaces. Black Diamond is our flagship product. Black Diamond is now on its 30th generation and is the largest optical screen on the market. What I mean by optical is that it's a material that consists of several layers of optics over a highly reflective surface. The projector light has to go or pass through all these optics and then come back out, creating a defined viewing cone horizontally and vertically. I say horizontally and vertically because Black Diamond rejects light from both the sides and top and bottom, creating a 900 increase in contrast over standard white and gray screen materials. Black Diamond is available in 3 gains: 1.2, 1.4, and 0.8. There's no difference in contrast between the gains. However, 0.8 will provide deeper blacks and a narrower viewing cone, while the 1.4 will have a brighter image and provide a wider viewing cone. We know that optical screens have limitations in height, and if you try to bend multiple layers of optics in order to make a motorized screen, it just doesn't work well. So Black Diamond is a fixed solution only. Please note that. Based on this, Screen Innovations really needed to introduce an ALR product that could be motorized and go larger than 150 inches diagonally. And that's where Slate was introduced as another game changer. Slate has an optical particles that are kept on the surface of the material. Slate is a surface reflecting material. This is extremely important to point out when it comes to applications where you have things like spreadsheets to be projected, fine architectural drawings, images. Instead of light passing through multiple layers twice like Black Diamond and fuzzing out around the text, the light is bouncing off or reflecting of these particles on the surface. This actually makes for a much finer lines on type of documents with text and numbers when it comes to the Black Diamond. Think of video, think of movies, conference calls, lobbies of a chef's restaurant with a slideshow, photos at a museum application. Slate is also available up to 15.3 feet in height and a 16:9 ratio. And that would be a 375-inch diagonal screen, completely seamless. Because of Slate's flexibility, it's available on all of our motorized screens up to 16 feet by 9 feet. It's also a peg, meaning that it has a black backer on the rear side of its material so it gives you the ability to hang it in front of a window and stop the light from bleeding in. This material also rejects light horizontally and vertically, and it's available in 0.8, 1.2, and 1.4 gains. For XL or extra large sizes, both Black Diamond and Slate require a minimum throw distance of 1.5 times that image width. Now think about it. If your projector is too close to the material, the material will mistake the projector light for ambient light. And that's where you experience hot spotting on the image. However, we do offer a short throw ambient light rejecting material called short throw or ST. This is our lenticular ambient light rejecting material. Think of mini blinds stacked up on top of a highly reflective surface. This material is designed for bottom-up projection as the material rejects light from the sides and above, creating a viewing cone of 180 degrees. It opens up a different way of designing short throw projection. With AV manufacturers, furniture manufacturers introducing more credenzas, projectors can be placed perfectly in there out of sight, which also provides more rack space and room for AV essentials and accessories. However, not every application or space will allow for ambient light rejection screens. You got to think of stuff like, is the projector already mounted in the ceiling with a shorter throw or longer throw? In some scenarios, a white or gray material would be the best fit. So just to touch up on a few of them, Screen Innovation also offers pure white and pure gray materials that feature a proprietary micro texture that is 9 times finer and smoother than most standard white and gray screens. And that's where the name pure comes from. This is important when it comes to resolutions of 4K, or let's say now 8K, or whatever comes after. As this material, we could say it's really future-proof. It has the capability of uniformly repeating any resolutions thrown at it. Also, for those that are looking for a totally neutral material with a 1.0 gain, they have the Unity, which was designed as a 100% color accuracy formulated material, so it would have no variation in color. Now diving into rear projection materials, SI offers 3 very different but unique materials. Let's start off with flex glass. One of the biggest issues with rear projection is hot spotting. Their flex glass projection material is a flexible and bendable semi-rigid material with absolutely no hot spotting, and it has the ability to go up to 8.5 feet tall and 99 feet long. It has a minimum throw distance of just 0.2. Another issue with rear projection materials, for example, glass, it's you cannot roll it. So chipping becomes a nightmare. Flex glass can be rolled down to a 2-inch diameter core, which makes shipping and transporting easily. Here I'm gonna play just a quick video that showcases what has been done with flex glass in the past. You can keep the material flat, you can curve it, you can do an S shape, do a wave, or completely turn it into a 360 viewing surface with multiple projectors and edge blending. You can clearly see here that you never see hot spotting in between projectors. It's a seamless image. Next, we've got black diamond film, which uses the same optical technology as black diamond. This film can be applied to acrylic or glass like a window tint. This material can be used in many unique applications inside, from, let's say, storefronts or glass walls, sliding doors. Imagine applying this material to a piece of glass in either landscape or portrait mode. This film is available up to 5 feet tall by 8 wide, but it depends on the orientation you're gonna set it in. And last but not least, we got the 360 material. This is a dual-sided material, meaning you can project from either the front or the back and have viewing capability for both from both sides. Now, I know this question will come up because I typically get it, and yes, the image will be reversed on one of the sides. 360 is available in fixed or motorized format. Now we'll talk about our fixed and motorized screens, beginning with something called tap tensioning. And tap tensioning is a really big deal for screen innovations. People don't really think about technology when they think about screens other than the materials, but keep us in line for the technology that we use for the actual screen themselves. There are a few things to touch upon here. One is the way we do tap tensioning. SI has a patented advanced tap tensioning system that's really unique. And that's one of the reasons that you're looking at when you're looking at the longevity of your screen. And what makes a motorized screens really stand out is making sure that when the screen is deployed, you have a uniform roll. There's a couple of things that ensure that the Screen Innovations product line is one, and one of them is tap tensioning. Look at the central picture here. You'll see that Screen Innovation actually die cuts their tabs right out of the material. It's the same piece of material that the screen is made out of. While others take plastic tabs or some other material tabs, weld them or glue them to those edges. Screen Innovations will not do that. This is really important to make sure that by using the tap tensioning technology, that you maintain a uniform roll. With Screen Innovations, when your screens are completely rolled up, it's a smooth, one seamless piece, no exterior tabs affixed. The other guys not only have issues with the tabs falling off after a while or after aging, but when they try to roll the screen up, it's thicker on the ends and skinnier in the middle, which gives you sort of an hourglass shape on your roll. Also, over time, this it will bend in the middle. And when then you deploy the screen, you kind of get the hourglass looking thing as well. Having the tabs be truly part of your screen is a huge, unique selling feature as a partner. Their printed borders also do the same thing as far as keeping the uniform roll. Screen Innovations actually print the borders on the materials. They have a giant printers in their factory that do this, where everyone else will either spray or paint or tape their borders. While that seems low profile, when you walk up to the screen, when it's rolled up again, it creates those thicker ends where the middle is skinnier because you're adding thickness to the material. Having ink and printed borders again keeps that complete uniform roll and is a really advanced feature that only Screen Innovation does. A couple of other things to talk about here as far as technology goes. One would be the drop. Their 3 series screens have a drop of, I believe it's 24 inches. I'll check on the next slide. And the 5 series have up to a 48-inch drop. It's important because you can set that drop to any limit that you want without having any effect on your tap tensioning. If you have let's say if you have a 48-inch drop screen, and when you get to your site, you're doing your install, and all of a sudden you realize, oh no, I only want to go 28 inches. You can easily set that with your wall switch right there in the field. And you don't have to worry about the fact that it's going to do anything strange to your tap tensioning. It will work perfectly. And then lastly, another thing I'd like to talk about is the way they do their weighted bar on the bottom. The weighted bars have the ability for the material to be adjusted within the bar. Screen Innovations always ships their screens in a horizontal fashion. They ask all their dealers to please keep them on a horizontal fashion. But of course, we know the world out there sometimes throws curveballs at us. And maybe it's the freight company or the delivery company that, leaned the screen up in a corner and sat there for a couple of weeks before your team got the chance to install them. Then you deploy the screen and behold, maybe the material has shifted and you got wrinkles somewhere on that side. You walk up to the bar, you take your hands underneath it, you take the tension of that, and you can use your finger to smooth that material back into the correct position, and those wrinkles will pop right out. Again, technology for the screens is a really big deal for them. They are very price competitive, sometimes even less than a lot of their competitors, if all things equal. And why wouldn't you want to have the advanced tap tensioning on the borders, the drop, and all the adjustable material positioning. It's something to think about if it's going to be the same price as the competitors. The motorized screens on the sort of standard industry are the 3 and 5 series motorized screens. These screens, the 3 series is going to be the most cost effective. It is with the white and gray materials only. It does have a maximum size of up to 100 inches diagonal, and the maximum drop on these is only 24. These are set fixed sizes, kind of all the standard sizes. So again, this is a real cost-effective way to do motorized screens, especially if you're just looking for white and gray, which is, as expressed before, are far superior product than some of the ones out there. If you need something a little more customized, you can move up to the 5 series. It's really the same look and feel as the 3 series. You just have options here on all of the different materials, and they have the ability to be motorized. It's also a maximum of 200-inch diagonal, but you do have the option here to go to a 48-inch drop, and you can buy this in 1-inch increment sizes. And then, of course, both of these are available in flutch or external cases. As far as motor goes, all of the power for the motorized screens are available in 200, 220, 110, and 24-volt power. On the control side, they also have a ton of options, whether it's low voltage triggering for your projector, IA remote, IP-based control, wall switches, whatever kind of third-party control you might want. They have a solution for you. Again, the external and flutch, because they have those tabs that are part of the material right there, die cut right out of the material. They have small cases, and that's a big thing for you to know because you're gonna have a kind of sleeker look and design. This is important with the competition. Here you can see an example of a 5 series in a conference room. Now I'm jumping up to the Solo Pro 2. The Solo Pro 2 screens are really beautiful screens, and they are really meant to be more for contemporary design. Maybe you got an architect or a designer that you're working with, and they really don't want the traditional looking 3 and 5 series case. They want something that can really blend in and be more part of the design. The Solo Pro 2 does max out at 160-inch diagonal. The Solo is where you would be able to motorize a short throw, which is something important to know about. But if you do motorize short throw material, you can only go up to 100 inches in diagonal. Depending on your diagonal, as you can see here in this table, they have 3 different case sizes. The biggest case being slightly under 5 inches, making them looking contemporary. And again, we can achieve those sizes because we're limiting the diagonal to 160. We can go over here a couple of pictures. So here you go. This is you can see it's a nice looking contemporary design. It's a lot different than the 3 and 5 series. It really makes a difference for someone who wants to actually use this in the design of their room. You can see here, it does come an external version. They're working on a flush mount, but right now there is no flush mount. You could fly this with cables if you wanted to do it like in a different scenario like you're seeing in this picture. Besides the 110 power motor and the 24-volt motor, they also have the option for a lithium rechargeable battery. We're starting to see more and more people who just may need a screen that they can easily move around, or maybe just in an area where they don't have power. It's important to note that the lithium rechargeable option does come completely charged from the factory once you get it. It's going to have the ability to do over 500 deployments in a single charge. You receive it without ever having to charge it up. You're going to get 500 plus deployments before you have to charge it. So that's at least 1 a day in a normal setting for a year when you're ready to charge it. There's a little magnetic charger that just comes with a little charging cable, and you just stick it there. Since it's magnetic, it will stick. You plug it in 8 to 10 hours later, you'll have a whole another 500 plus deployments. This is an example of the Solar Pro 2 installed in front of glass sliding door, we could say. You can see it matches the casing for the window treatment. And also, please note that it's in front of a window where you have a lot of ambient light coming from behind. As stated before, unlike our 3 and 5 series, where you have up to 200 inches diagonal, you are limited to 160 here. And again, it's because of the case size. But something to know is that they do their own custom powder coating in-house. This is like an example of the standard colors that are available on the Solar Pro 2. But if you have a customer that has some type of specific color that they now need to match on their environment, they do custom powder coating as well. They just need to get the hex code for that color that you need. They'll put that through the shop and make sure that you guys get the exact color that you may need. Now let's talk about the 0G. This is our last motorized screen. It's a truly levitating and beautiful screen. You can see here that it does to also have a maximum size of 160 inches in diagonal. And then of course you have the ability to do any of the screen materials that the case can do in flush or external. 0Gs are beautiful because not everyone wants to have a black drop, and maybe you just need a long drop. In a setting where you have architectural restrictions or historical restrictions, whatever it might be, the 0G can be a beautiful fit for that project. A couple of things we want to talk about are that are unique to this product versus some other similar ones out there, or similar type of levitating screen, is that SI does it a little bit different. One is, you'll notice from the picture here, they use a specific cable. Most other companies use a braided metal cable, which is fine, but it's not very low profile, and it's only one color. With Screen Innovations, they use a particular cable that's kind of a parachute cable, and it's available in 6 different colors and super, super low profile. It truly disappears in the background. The way that they do this is also unique as far as the screen itself deploys out of the case. This is an external case, and as you can see on the photograph, you have up to 15 feet 8 inches of drop, as it was discussed before, and you can set that anywhere in between from the field. But what's important to notice is that when you deploy the screen, it's going to drop the tube itself fully down to wherever you got your limit set. And then it's going to unroll the screen in a very silent and beautiful soft stop. It's really a nice way to be able to deploy these and have the look and feel that you want to match your design. The other thing that's important to notice is the size of the case. A lot of other competitors, the way they do it, it's that they have a really big case. It opens up and drops a whole nother case that then deploys the screen out of that. I know that even in our largest 160-inch case, it's about 250 pounds, where the other competitors could be over 1,000 pounds. Here I can show some pictures of this too, but this is just like a little close-up. And you can see the drop. You can see how, again, how the flush mount where the doors open here, and it just drops out. You can see how low profile that case is, up to 15 feet 8 inches of drop. This is a simple design of the tube that drops out and then unrolls. This also gives you a little bit of a closer picture for the tap tensioning. You can see the die cut right out of the material, maintaining the beautiful uniform roll that you always have to want to have in a same smooth and beautiful screen every single day, as the same day that you took it out of the box and installed it. This is a couple of installed pictures of the 0G as well. This is a customer who said they really want, hey, we really love our building and we don't want to cover up any elements. We just want to see stone and stained glass. And when the screens are in use, they didn't want to see like a blank LCD screen or panel there on the wall. This gave them the opportunity to have gorgeous screens that were down. They could reject the ambient light, but when they didn't want to see them, they were up and out of the way. Moving up to fixed screens here, similar to our 3 and 5 motorized, we have 3 and 5 series fixed screens. These are going to be sort of your standard classic screens with a velvet wrapped frame, as you can see around here. The 3 series is similar again to the motorized. It comes in set sizes in white or gray material, only the maximum size. You can go up here 375 inches in diagonal now with the XL fabrics as well. So it's a really big, beautiful wall replacement screen at a fraction of the cost. So if you're replacing a video wall, you can use this. The 5 series, similar as motorized, you have the ability to have 1-inch increments up to 375, and every material that's created for you as well. So that's 3 and 5 series on the fixed. 0 Edge Pro, here Screen Innovations had a lot of people who said, you know, I really want that LCD look and I need a slimmer, lower profile bezel on the screen. So they came out with 0 Edge Pro, and this is going to give you that kind of look and feel that you need, that it's a little bit more like an LCD screen. The other nice thing about it is that they have options on bezel sizes, and you can do everything from 1/2 inch, 1.5 inches to 2 inches. And you have the ability to do custom colors as well. There are in-house custom colors as well as the ability to do powder coating that's as specific to your customer's colors, whatever they might need. Here you can see a picture of the 0 Edge Pro with the LED light kit installed, and see how elegant it looks behind it. So guys, this is all that I have for today as far as the screens, but wanted to encourage you to visit Screen Innovations website, where you will find the necessary tools to determine and build the right screen for your project. You will find other tools such as seating distance, projector wizard, screen wizard, screen calculator. In this website, you will also be able to generate a PDF document from any configured screen, which you can then use to submit to AVE exports so they can give you a quote on it. So that's all for today. Any questions?
No questions that haven't been answered as of yet. Do you want to just show them the, you know, we've got like just one extra quick minute. Do you want to show them the SI webpage real quick, and then how to be able to build something, and then how our dealers can then take that build number and then submit to us for quoting?
Let's do it. So it's very easy. You guys go to screeninnovations.com. Screen Innovations, depending on the type of project that you have, you got residential, commercial, international options. But you can go with the standard, which is residential. As soon as you go in, you go to the tabs here, 3 tabs on the right, and you go to you can immediately see that you get all the options here. Screen Builder, Screen Material Wizard, Screen Size Comparison, Screen Size Calculator. You even have a projector wizard, so you can choose the correct JVC projector that you're looking for. But in this case, let's do a Screen Builder. Let's say you already went through the hassle of determining the seating distance and everything. And in this case, let's do a Solo Pro 2, just for the fun of it. You select your product. We're going to do it motorized. You have the options depending on the territory that you and the measurements that you deal with. I'm going to use inches. You choose your screen ratio. You choose your diagonal. Let's go up to 100. Okay. Choose your drop at either 12 or 24. Remember that I told you can set up on site if you need. Also, some of them have this sort of Q&A where you click on them and it'll give you a brief description of what it is and how you could calculate it. As you're populating or building your screen, it'll give you a review of the measurements of what you're building, and you can relate those letters A, B, C, D, whatever, next to the spec image that it's going to give you. A is going to be the diagonal, B the horizontal, C the vertical. You can also see the dimensions of the case it'll choose for you. You can see this is a 2, it's not even 3 inches. It's not even a 3 by 3 inch case. So it's a small factor. It also gives you shipping dimensions and weight in case you need them for the freight forwarder. Then you come to your material. Let's say I'm going to choose a short throw. Let's say I want a custom cassette color to match a red wall that my client has. End caps, you have the options to either go either that gray or match the custom color. I would suggest match the custom color. And here is where we choose our power options. We're going to do this one lithium rechargeable battery, and it's going to be controlled wirelessly. The orientation, you can always use standard, but if you have questions, is the way that it enrolls. And here you can see that I chose standard and reverse roll, that it rolls from the other side. It depends on the wall or if you have something behind the wall. It shows you the accessories that it includes. You can add, I'm going to add a charging cable. I'm going to add a stall connect, which is a small box so I can connect to it via IP. And after I get to the bottom, it's going to give you like a summary of the material you chose, the aspect ratio, a model number, and it gives you the option to download a PDF. And this is where I suggest everybody you download this PDF. And this is where you're going to send out for a quote. This document will give you everything: the part number, spec ratio, the material that you chose, the dimensions. It works also as a submittal for your clients, so you can show them what you're quoting. Once this is approved, and if you're okay with it, you can even sign it, send it to AVE, and they can use it to formalize the order. And it's as easy as that.
The version that AVE is going to provide is going to have all of this exact same information. The only difference is that we'll also have the MSRP of the device on it. So that's the only thing. So if you want a version that has MSRP on it, feel free to get in touch with us with the model number or whatever feature it is that you want. We're happy to put that PDF together. Like you just showed, it's just a matter of a few clicks and we can send that. We have a good question for Patrick, actually. With regard to the DLA, the RS3000, which is obviously equivalent to the NX9, if there's going to be a firmware or if there's not already a firmware update for the frame adapt option.
The NX9 and RS3000 does accept the current firmware of 3.10 and up to give you that frame adapt option. So yeah, absolutely.
So is that something that they would go to the website in order to get, or is that something you need to send me to forward on?
It's on the website under customer support where we looked the other day.
Perfect. Excellent. So yeah, Chris, you can just pull that up on the JVC website for the RS3000 and you'll be able to pull it there. If not, remember the NX9 and the RS3000 are identical in pretty much every way except for the label and the color of the ring around it. And then the channel through which it is distributed. Other than that, everything else is identical. So that's not a problem. Without any further delay, if there aren't any other questions, thank you guys so much, not only to the attendees, but also to Patrick and Bertie, Polaris Controls and JVC. And we're really grateful. And if you haven't done so, make sure that you check out our website, av-export.com, on the training and education page. We are updating our calendar regularly, not only with the webinars that we are hosting ourselves, which you should be on our mailing list and getting at least one email per week with all updated ones, updated webinars that we are hosting, but also webinars that our vendors are hosting. So for instance, next week on Wednesday, there is a Luxel and Clearline webinar. That's at 11 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday morning, this coming Wednesday morning. And then the following day in English, we're doing our Luxel and Just Add Power webinar. So those are all on the calendar on the av-export.com website. Please feel free to make sure that you can do that. Hi, Michael, that's a great question. JVC projectors are in fact programmable via URC. You can do so via the RS-232 DB9 connector that is on the back side of the JVC projector. Thanks guys again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day, and stay safe.
Thanks so much.